So Caiya, I'm so glad you're able to take some time to help me by giving me some information that I can transfer to other NSBE members and students that I'm involved with in the community who are looking for scholarships and who need to plan effectively on how they're going to pay for college. So first, I'm just going to let you introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, where you're from, where you go to school, what you're studying.
Alrighty, so hello, I am Caiya Wiltshire. I am a junior mechanical engineering student at North Carolina A&T State University, and I'm from San Antonio, Texas.
Wonderful. So take us back to where you were 4 years ago, okay? High school, thinking about going to college. So how did you start your college readiness journey?
I really started in 9th grade. My parents got me a college advisor who would be with me all 4 years of high school. So starting in 9th grade, of course, we take the PSAT, I'm pretty sure. So I was doing a lot of PSAT prep, and I was also applying to summer programs. So I was involved in NSBE in middle and high school. So I applied to a lot of engineering programs during the summer, leadership programs, stuff like that. So the summer going into sophomore year, I did a leadership program, which was at Princeton. It was for young Black girls. And we were basically being taught like leadership skills and like standing our ground in an all white environment, stuff like that. And then the summer going into my junior year, I did a engineering program at Cornell University, and that was basically it was like a diversity engineering program. So they had about like 50 students from across the country, and we basically learned the different types of engineers there were, and then we got to like activities based on those toward the campus and things like that. And even though these are like engineering camps, they were still super fun, and we still did a lot of cool activities. And then the summer going into my senior year was probably my favorite summer because I got to go to Apple's engineering technology camp in Cupertino, California. And I actually applied to that through NSBE. So that specific program that Apple has you can only apply to that if you're in like certain organizations.
Okay.
NSBE was one of those organizations that you could apply through. So I applied through NSBE and I got it. There was only 25 students from across the country, and it was like all expense paid. They flew us out to Apple. They paid for our lodging, and then we got to go on Apple's campus, like where the engineers work every single day, and do something different. And then we also that program was like 3 or 4 weeks, and then they like split us into teams, and we were solving like an engineering challenge, and we got to present that to Apple leadership as well. So that was super fun and definitely like a life-changing experience. And then for like scholarships and stuff like that, I basically was applying to scholarships every single week my senior year of high school. I look back and I have this Excel sheet of what I applied to, did I get it, how much was it, and all that stuff. So I applied to about 80 scholarships, and I got 25 of them. And most of them were like the small local ones, which ranged from like $350 to $5,000. So although it's good to go for the large amounts of scholarship, that also means that it's going to be a lot of people applying for those as well.
Right.
So if you do like the local scholarships, which includes like sorority and fraternities, churches, just like different organizations around your community, those are the ones that people forget about and don't really apply. So
because of the amounts.
So you have a greater chance of getting those as well.
Well, let me ask you this, because you mentioned some key things that I want people listening to this to take away. Your actual readiness started in the 9th grade when you started applying for these summer camps. So regardless if it's engineering or something else, did that help you get scholarships? Were you referencing that information on applications saying I did this, I did that? Did that help you?
I would say that it helped with a good amount of my scholarships, but most of the scholarships really just want to know about like your life experience.
Okay.
So I would say going to those programs definitely helped me get my full ride scholarship at A&T, because they were, asking me why I wanted to be an engineer and like all that stuff. So I was referencing the camps that I went to and like how I've been
Okay.
preparing for this and things like that. And then I
So,
also still reference those for my job interviews now, for my internship
okay.
interviews.
Now tell us about the scholarship that you have for North Carolina A&T State University. What's the name of it?
I have the Lewis and Elizabeth Dowdy Scholarship.
Okay. And you said it's a full ride. So what does that really mean?
Oh, what did you say?
What does a full ride mean?
Okay, so full ride. That means that the school will cover your tuition, your room and board. They'll sometimes pay for like your extra expenses. So at the end of each semester, you'll get a refund check.
Mhm.
And so you use that refund check to pay for like, I pay for my
Living.
groceries with
Yeah.
that, my gas in my car, just things like that. And then sometimes I know for our scholarship, they gave us a laptop as well, an Apple MacBook. So
Okay.
there's just like a lot of perks with having a scholarship for sure.
So you said you applied for about 80 scholarships and you got like about 20 something of them. Is that what you said? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what was your process? Did you have a certain number that you wanted to do every week? Did you set a certain time every week where you were searching for scholarship? Explain your process.
So I was very fortunate. I still had like my college advisor. So she was telling me what to apply for the most part. But yeah, I did have a time set aside, a few hours a day, basically set aside to applying to scholarships. I think I applied to maybe like twice a week for like my second semester of senior year of high school. But yeah, definitely it was just after I finished one, do the next one. After you finish another one, do the next one. And I definitely recommend like having a Google Doc, because lots of these scholarships, they ask the same questions. So
Okay.
once you write an essay for one thing, you can copy and paste that, maybe change a few words. And
Rework it.
yes, and
Mhm.
just put that for the next scholarship. So it's not like I'm writing 80 different essays. I'm writing probably like 5 or 6 and then changing the words as I go for each scholarship.
Okay. And
Mhm.
I think you called her your college advisor.
Mhm.
Was that someone that your parents paid? How did you get connected with her?
Yeah, so some of my parents paid. So, and she was actually my NSBE advisor. So she's
Oh,
my
okay.
NSBE advisor. And then like her job is being a college advisor for students. So yes, my parents paid her, but also, you have like high school counselors that send out emails of what scholarships to apply for. So I was also using them as a resource. Yeah, so you don't have to pay somebody. I think it's a great investment, definitely.
Yeah.
But, if you don't have the funds for it, definitely use your high school counselor, because, they're there to help you. That's their job as well.
Right. So you took a lot of initiative on your own, it sounds like, and you planned this out. Did you actually calculate how much you needed to go to school?
I did not calculate how much I needed. I knew that it was going to be a lot. I knew it was going to be over like
100,000? Yeah.
$20,000,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. So I knew I needed a lot.
Okay.
And I was really just banking on the full ride scholarship. That's honestly
Okay.
what I was banking on. But yeah, that kind of answered the question.
So help me understand this, because I've heard students getting $1 million worth of scholarships, 100,000. I mean, large numbers. So I know students, I'm trying to anticipate the questions that they may have. So does that mean you earned that amount, but you didn't take all of that? So I think you told me you got about 300,000 in scholarships from the various ones that you applied for?
Yes, I
Were they
got,
college specific? Is that what those were?
yes, some of them
Okay.
were college specific. So I also received, I think, 2 other full ride scholarships. So that added on to my 180,000 scholarship, like total amount of scholarship that I have right now, basically.
Okay. All right. And just kind of give us an example of what kind of criteria, they were looking for. I know we always was hear about academic,
Mhm.
financial need. I have a lot of students that say, well, you know what? My parents make too much money. There's need in me trying to search, or
Mhm.
what do you say about these things?
Yeah, so I was honestly the same way. My parents, I didn't apply to any financial need-based scholarships. There's plenty of scholarships that are not need-based. They're just based on, what am I trying to say? Like your academics, like they want to see like,
Different attributes.
yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
I feel like the criteria you need to have, definitely do well in school. I say A's and B's. It's okay to have like a C sprinkled in there, but try and get A's and B's. And then they want to know like your leadership skills, your work ethic, things like that. So if you're like on the volleyball team or soccer team, basketball team, be like, I help lead my team, I help encourage them, I help do this and that. If you're working at McDonald's, say I have great customer service, I make sure everyone gets their meal on time, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, you don't need to do a whole bunch of crazy stuff. You don't need to own your own business. You don't need to start a nonprofit. You don't need to do any of that, like unless like you're really passionate about it and you want to, but that's not something that's necessary in
Okay.
order for you to stand out.
That's excellent. And do you have any final advice, or maybe even can you mention some of the organizations that worked for you?
Yes. For the scholarships,
Yes.
yes, I have a doc right here. So I applied to NSBE scholarships. Definitely applied to NSBE. Fraternity scholarships, I applied to Omega Psi Phi and Alpha Phi Alpha. More NSBE. Tuskegee Airmen, they have scholarships. I applied to a lot of churches for scholarships. My San Antonio, like the city of San Antonio, that's where I'm from, they have a lot of scholarships. So
Just foundations there locally, some of the,
yes.
okay.
I applied to a lot of like engineering scholarships. So there's like Society of Professional Engineers or something like that.
Yep.
So I applied to that. My grandma, she lives in West Virginia. Her church has a scholarship, so I applied to that. And then my church, let's see, 100 Black Men scholarship, still a lot of fraternity scholarships. And like,
And I don't think females would think that they can apply for that one, but that's awesome.
yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so I also say like, if you already know what you want to major in college, that's a bonus because you can apply to scholarships based on that. So since I was interested in engineering, I applied to all the STEM scholarships, all the engineering scholarships, anything that had to do with engineering or math or whatever. That's what I applied for.
And where did you look? You use any specific websites? How did you find these contacts?
Honestly, my church really helped out a lot because they knew I was a senior. So they were like, Caiya, make sure to apply this scholarship, make sure to apply this scholarship. So lots of
by
it.
listening to people that knew you were.
Yes. Lots of it was word of mouth.
Okay. And then
yeah,
you would put that
go,
information in your document. That's what you would do, and keep a
yes.
list. Okay.
Yes. So I can actually share
Sure.
it with you.
Go ahead.
I think that would help. Oh, I cannot. Okay, there we go. So how do I? Okay,
Maybe I got to do something on my side. There you go.
Oh yeah. There we go. Share. All right. So here's like a list of my scholarships. So at the top, we have, this is what I started off with. These were my first scholarships that I applied for, and I didn't get any of them. I got a lot of red marks, a lot of no, I'm sorry. And then I started getting more of the greens, and yes, congratulations. And up here, it might be a little confusing if you look at it, but since I have a full ride scholarship, I can only get so much in my refund check. So I think the limit is like $7,500 a semester. And I have so many outside scholarships that still wanted to give money to me. I think it was like over 50,000. So what I had to do, in order for that money not to go to waste, I asked each of the organizations, I was like, okay, can you send the money like my second semester of my freshman year, or my second semester of my sophomore year, first semester of my junior year? So I just like split it up.
Okay.
So hopefully, y'all are fortunate enough to have that as well.
So renewable basically means you're going to get that same amount
each year.
Reoccurring. Okay.
Yes.
And some of them, like you said, since you had more than what you needed, you asked that they defer sending it to you until later. Awesome.
Yes. So that's also, so you can just see on the left, all the ones that I applied for and got. Oh, another thing, this Google CSSI, I didn't get the scholarship with it, but I would also suggest, if you can, looking up scholarships that also come with like programs or internships. That's very helpful, because not only do they give you money, but they give you experience as well.
Great point.
Yes. Yeah, and so that's my total of what I have, or what I'm getting full total
right now.
4 years of college. Yeah. And
now, are you still looking for scholarships?
Personally, well, I apply to some every now and then, but I just don't need anymore.
Right. Your needs have been met and you have what you need. And
yeah, I'm getting paid to go to college.
Gotcha. So your deadline, so like a lot of people don't realize, a lot of students think that, hey, I can only apply for scholarships in, a certain time of the year. Did you find that these scholarships are pretty much year round? Like you have due dates like almost every month?
Yes. I definitely like separated it by due dates and was like, which one's more urgent, because some of them are due, September, October, December of your senior year. And then some are due April, May. So you may not get the scholarship until later on. So it's really like a all year thing for especially senior year. So, I mean, it's definitely going to be like, it's definitely going to take a lot of your energy and your time, but it's worth it. I definitely had a few mental breakdowns. I was like, I can't write another scholarship essay. I can't do this anymore. But at those times, yes, it's okay to take a break. But I would just like keep pushing, because it's just going to be worth it when you don't have to pay for school, or you don't have to pay that much money for school.
Right.
When other people have to take out loans and do all this extra stuff, and you can just chill and collect the money. So yeah.
Right. And I would say this, if you have school paid for, when you graduate, you should invest your money, because you're going to need it later in life. I wouldn't just go out and, needlessly spend it. I will be fiscally responsible with it, because it is a blessing to have a full ride to school and not have to pay for it. A couple of final things. Can you just kind of tell us what the headings are that you have on your columns? I just want to make sure we know what you collected in row 1 up there.
Right here?
Yes. Right. Row 1. Yeah, you're very top. Like what was the area? What were those areas? So I see the scholarship names. So there's column A. B was probably the amount. Just so we know what information was very useful for you.
Wait, what do you want me to open up? Oh, show B and C?
Right. Yeah, just want to make sure we have all the right
I don't even know.
Categories.
Oh.
Okay. Where it was located, what the requirements were for the scholarship. Okay. And then you tracked, did you get it or not? The amount of it, is it renewable? Amount to be paid, freshman year, amount to be paid to the school. How did you know what to put in those in that row 1? How did you know how to go about organizing?
Not to be paid to the school?
or just the whole spreadsheet? Like,
Oh, yes. So that's a good question. Amounts we pay for the school, that's when they send the scholarship directly to the school. I mean, it's fine for that, but if you have a full ride, or if you don't want the money to go to the school, even though the school's gonna pay for it, it's gonna pay for your tuition. But if you have your tuition paid for, then you will try to convince the scholarship to send it directly to you instead, and just be like, I have a full ride, or I already have my tuition paid for, and it's just gonna basically take the money away. Can you send me the money directly so that I can use it appropriately for like books or like access codes, just like stuff I need for school. But if you send it to the school, the money will be wasted.
when you say wasted, what do you mean?
So since I think this only applies for if you have a full ride scholarship, and if your university has like a limit of how much of the refund you get.
Okay.
So I know for like Prairie View A&M, they don't have any limit. So like it doesn't matter if the scholarship sends it to the school or not, you're going to get the money regardless.
Okay.
But for A&T, they have a cap limit of how much money you get a semester that doesn't involve like tuition.
Right.
So I already get, I think, around like $3,000 just for my scholarship, for like the extra stuff that they cover. But let's say I have like a $10,000 scholarship for that semester, and they want to send it to the school. Well, that'll be $13,000 extra dollars that I would get in my refund, but the cap is $7,500. So that means $2,500 would just be wasted, or
The difference.
$5,500 would be wasted. Yeah. So that's
When
why
you
I'm
say
like,
wasted, meaning the school puts
meaning
it
they will,
somewhere else. Gotcha. Okay.
they,
It won't be wasted, but you won't get
it'll
it,
be
I guess
wasted
is
for
what you're saying.
me. Yeah.
Right.
I
You don't
want them
get
to
it.
have my money.
You earned it, but you don't get it. Okay.
Exactly.
Well, do
So
they redirect it to other students, or
I don't know what they do with
you don't
it,
know? You just know
but it
you
doesn't
don't
go
get
to
it.
me. It
Okay.
doesn't go to
Okay.
me.
Okay. Well,
And
that's good to know, because students should know that when they are choosing their schools. So
yes.
if they're okay with that, or that, they should know that.
Yeah, it's not a
Excellent.
super big deal, but
Right.
the cap is large. I just am
Gotcha.
just very, very blessed and go over the
Okay.
cap.
All right. And just before we close out, what are some of the other items you have over there to the far right?
Let's see.
Just want to see. Okay. Basically, you're just tracking each year of your semester. Every year you're in college, you're tracking your scholarship money and so forth. So you're basically managing this all the time. You started this when you were in high school, your senior year, the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And in your senior year, when did you start looking for scholarships?
I think probably August.
Okay. So like August, when you first started the senior year, you started looking, and then you started earning them probably within the next few months or something like that. I'm just trying to figure out, how long did it take you to actually get what you needed to get to A&T?
Oh, it took me from, okay, I won't say August. I'll probably say like September, October, because I was applying to schools.
Okay.
And during the summer, and then August. So maybe like September, October through May.
Okay. So by May, you had the money that you needed to cover at least your first year, and you continue to see what was going to be renewable. Now, before we close out, is there anything in hindsight, now that you look back, is there anything that you think you could have done differently, better? Like, I'm encouraging the juniors that I know to start looking, because there may be some, or even sooner, because there may be some things that you need to do to better position yourself on the application, and to be more competitive on the application, or to have the content that you need. Maybe you haven't done anything in the summer, or maybe you haven't had a summer job yet. So I'm encouraging people to start looking sooner than later, so they'll know, well, what are the applications asking for? Because I may have to go get some of that experience. What would you suggest that maybe in hindsight you would have done differently now that you are where you are? Anything?
Honestly, I personally wouldn't do anything differently, just because my college advisor, she had done this hunt several times before, so she really knew what to do and knew what I needed to do. So that was really like how I got everything, or like how I knew about everything. But I would say like for like my friends who are also on full ride but don't have extra money coming in, so like they're struggling to like pay their groceries and stuff like that, I would say apply to outside scholarships, apply to the local scholarships. I feel like as long as you just keep applying to scholarships, you're gonna get like a good amount. And then yeah, I would say that's the only thing. Just, you don't have to do a whole bunch of stuff. Like if you haven't done anything all throughout high school and you're a senior, just embellish the stuff that you have already done. Like, what are you passionate about right now? And what are you doing? Like, what passions do you have? Like, are you knitting for the homeless or for your grandparents or stuff like that? So it doesn't have to be anything big. Just make sure you really get your point across about like how passionate you are about learning and being a good person and wanting to be like a better person in college. So I feel
Awesome.
like as long as you have a good story, as long as you write a good story for yourself, then scholarships should be no problem.
Excellent. I do want to connect with the advisor that you had, and
Yes.
maybe talk to her a little bit. And sounds like she helped out. You're in NSBE, so you had access to NSBE. So getting in organizations that position you for scholarships. I know students that have worked at McDonald's and got that scholarship, or they work places where they can get scholarships. There have been some websites, scholarship.com, the Scholly app. Did you use any apps or any specific websites that people should definitely take a look at? And the Ultimate Scholarship Book, that's another one that I know that has worked for students.
I did a lot of, like, you see like the Wendy scholarships,
Okay.
Elk, the HEB. Like I did a lot of the name brand scholarships. Didn't
Okay.
get most of them because, you know, thousands of people apply.
Right.
But,
Yep.
so I
Gotcha.
wouldn't say go directly to that. I would say start with your
The
local.
local. That
Yeah.
sounds great. And local, like you said, church, fraternity, sorority, things that your high school is putting out, foundations in your community. So just kind of just really search your community organizations, parents' jobs, grandparents' jobs, or their contacts. So really search your local network. And these are smaller amounts. And a lot of students don't like to apply for those, but they add up over time.
They definitely add up.
Okay. All right. Well, Caiya, it's been wonderful getting this information from you. I've learned a lot, and I'm sure you've helped a lot of people. And we want to stay in touch. I know you're going to do great things. And at some point, maybe you'll be an advisor yourself, and you'll be an entrepreneur based on this experience that you've shared.
Of course, I really enjoyed talking, especially like sharing my experience about the scholarship world, because I know it can be very intimidating. So I'm glad I got to kind of help y'all out a little bit, make it like less intimidating, make it more realistic for you all.
Right. It's definitely an overwhelming thought for students. And that's why a lot of them just don't even move the needle on it. But you've definitely made it more attainable. And I'm hearing this story from a lot more students now. So it's very realistic that people can have a full college experience already paid for. I had to do student loans. I didn't have the internet coming up, but if I could have had the internet, I would have been just like you, just trying to don't leave any stone unturned when it comes to investing in your future. Thank you, Caiya.
Of
Have a
course.
great one.
Bye, you too.
Bye-bye.